Good afternoon, gang. Thought I'd give you a little bit of more information here that I came across this afternoon about, well, kind of following up on this morning's video a little bit about your taxes and the Ponzi scheme being run by the U.S. government. Okay, and this isn't about the climate change fiasco, stupidity, bullshit, whatever it is. This is just flat out economic news that you might want to be aware of. Okay. So there is a organization based out of Chicago. It's called Truth in Accounting. Okay. They are a think tank, like I said, headquartered in Chicago, that just recently put out their 2021 fiscal comprehensive report. Okay. And was kind of talking about the 2020 response to COVID, okay? And what happened with the government and the lockdowns and everything that we've done, okay? And I mean, again, we all know that tons and tons of money got spent on this stimulus program, okay? But here's the interesting part, okay, that they came up with. Now, we've all been told that the U.S. debt is, well, let's see, I can tell you right now, oops, I had it here for a second, lost it, about $28 trillion, okay? And that isn't quite exactly true, all right? And I'm going to link the page for this so you guys can take a look at it. The website is truthinaccounting.org. Okay. The actual current amount of U.S. debt that we have, the truth, okay, according to what this think tank came up with, is 132 trillion, as I'm recording this, 132 trillion, 427 billion, 570, and then it moves too fast, $1 million, okay? Each taxpayer's share, you, me, Mrs. P, okay, whoever, each taxpayer, okay, not each household, each taxpayer, $855,000. So that means my household is responsible for $1.71 million in the U.S. debt. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't have close to $1.7 million. Okay. Now, how did they come up with all of this? All right. So the report states, and I'll just read this to you. Our measurement of the government's financial status includes, in addition to the reported federal assets and liabilities, but also Social Security and medical insurance benefits that have been promised but not yet paid. Elected and non-elected officials make duplicate financial statements. The decision puts the federal government on a debt of $123.11 trillion US dollars, including Social Security and medical insurance commitments that have not yet been funded. Okay. Now, you got to remember where all this money goes. Social Security. I'm not saying this is an entitlement. We paid into that. We deserve to get that money back. Okay. But all these entitlement programs that you get, food stamps, welfare, yada, 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 pick up all of that sort of stuff. Okay. Now, supposedly, what the Truth in Accounting organization say, the official statistics, the 28 trillion, do not include medical insurance and Social Security benefits that have not yet received funds. So this is where we're borrowing from the future, okay? And we all know how Social Security works or whatever. We all put our money into it over however many years you've been working. But the money that, for example, I put in back in 1997 is long paid out to somebody else. There is no longer a Social Security trust fund. You can thank the Democrats for that one because they moved it to the general fund in the 70s so they could spend the money. Okay, so now the money in 1997 paid somebody who was on Social Security in 1997. And so the money that, if it's still around, I'd collect when I retire will be from, hypothetically, my daughter paying into Social Security. Now, this all kind of ties into the Great Reset, if you will. we all know people are living longer, okay? And the governments have to borrow money. I mean, when Social Security was started, you retired at, what was it, 62 or whatever, I think, when it came out under FDR. And then it got moved up to 65, and now it's 67 as the retirement age, okay? But, I mean, I look at my grandparents, okay? None of my grandparents made it out of their 60s. They collected, maybe a year or two worth of Social Security. That's great. Well, now the life expectancy, I believe, is 80 for women and 78 for men, or something of the average. Okay, so now they're paying 10, 12 years after full retirement age, and they don't have the money. Okay, so this is where you get into, hypothetically, COVID. Oh, gee, it was killing the elderly. Wonder why that was okay. Or we need to get rid of useless eaters. Well, if you're not working anymore, I guess you're useless, maybe? So this is kind of what we're looking at. And the governments are this far, the government, I'm sorry, not the governments. And I'm assuming this is other countries as well, because, God knows Europe can't manage their money either. And I can't speak for a lot of other countries, but I've got the facts on the U.S. Okay. But, so now you have $123 trillion in debt. And you start looking at the GDP and you go, okay, we have more debt than we're making as a nation in a year. That's disaster. I mean, and I did a video on this a while back. I mean, your household, look at it this way. If you've got a $50,000 income, but $60,000 in debt that you're paying, okay, you will never get out of debt. Okay, you can't do it. Okay, the interest eventually keeps climbing up and you get to a point where it's unsustainable. And according at the 28 trillion, we're operating at about 140% of GDP right now. Okay, so, triple it and we're running 500% of GDP if this is the true numbers. Okay, the problem that we get, and we saw this with the stimulus, is, okay, let's spend money on gender studies. Let's spend money on, buying cars and car insurance to study transsexualism in Pakistan or whatever the hell that was. The Lincoln Center will go into, Nancy Pelosi's pet project so she can make sure her daughter was getting paid. But, as typical, the Democrats have always been a tax and spend party, okay? Hey, we need to spend more money, let's just raise taxes. That's never changed. The Republicans now seem to be perfectly happy with the spend part, they just aren't happy with the tax part. Well, that doesn't work either. If you don't have any income, you can't keep spending money. So, we've got this $2 trillion bailout that Biden just passed, okay? They're trying to come up with another $2 trillion dollar package, all right, that it's basically sitting in Biden's pocket right now, waiting to shove this in there. Now, this is the point we're at, guys, and this is why I keep saying about paying your bills, about taxes, whatever, because they're going to tax you to death. And I know, like everybody has said, and I completely agree with you, you never own your house because you still got to pay property tax. I get it, okay? But it'll be a lot easier for you to pay your property tax if you don't have to pay the mortgage, okay? If the mortgage is already paid off. It's one less bill, and again, keep going into it. But this also comes into the same thing, and I mentioned this in the community tab here a little bit ago. To all those you guys that think crypto is great, congratulations, you've lost 25% of your money in the last week, so I hope you're feeling good. Fiat currency, we all know what inflation's doing to the dollar, so that ain't exactly the place to be either. But if you take a look at what precious metals are doing, precious metals are inching up slowly. I was mentioning to everybody a while back, be buying silver when it was between 24 and 25, and now silver touched, 26.70 yesterday, and I think it's about 26 and a quarter, 26.50 right now. I'd still be buying silver here. It's more expensive than it was a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I mean, you can't go back in time and buy it then. Precious metals are going to be your hedge against inflation, and they are actually a physical asset that you can hold, okay? They will be worth something. So, again, The assets that you want to have are things that have a physical assets. Precious metals. People have asked me about real estate. Yes, if you can buy real estate, I would buy it. The old joke, they ain't making any more of it. All right, not necessarily saying buy a house, because I think you're going to, right now, housing is through the roof expensive. Okay, so if you're stuck buying a house and paying these premiums on it, I'm sorry. Land, not so much. Okay, so if you got the opportunity to buy land, see if you can find some land on the cheap. That's good, because when this whole bubble bursts, which it's gonna, just like we were talking, somebody asked a question about it in the comments, the real estate market is going to blow up. And okay, if you've already got your house, you've already got your mortgage, doesn't matter. The real estate market blows up, you still owe what you signed that note for, so pay the bill. Okay, but if you're in the market for a house, pay attention, because when this all collapses, which is gonna be soon, okay, I'm not saying next week, but it's gonna be soon, keep parking your assets. Like I said, I'd be buying silver and gold. If you're saving for a house, that's how I'd be doing it right now. And get ready, because when the market blows up, the market is going to blow up, and you're going to be able to buy stuff on the cheap. And in the comments, I had mentioned the condo that Mrs. P and I had bought in Vegas, which was sold when we moved. Okay, but in the early 2000s, that condo sold for $299,000. I mean, it was 496 square feet. It's just off the strip, so it was a good rental place for us to buy. Okay, we didn't pay $300,000 for it. After the 2008-2009 crash, the condo sold for $20,000. Okay, so think about that. You bought it for $299. It sold for $20,000. Okay, somebody apparently bought it there. They couldn't keep it or whatever it is. We actually bought it out of bankruptcy, or foreclosure, one of the two, I don't remember, and fixed it up, held on to it. We turned a nice little profit on it. Okay, it wasn't like we were flipping houses. We used it for an Airbnb. Well, we thought we were going to be there. We got out in 2019 when the state went Democrat. Turned out to be a real good move. But yeah, if you're looking for land is another good thing to be buying right now, because like I said, they ain't making any more of it. But again, like I said, if you want to check this out, go look at truthinaccounting.org and see what the national debt really is, what they're not telling us. Okay, thought that was kind of interesting that I ran across this morning. Have a good rest of your Friday, guys. Hopefully this is the last time I see you till tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Pinball out.